how do you prepare for marriage? How do you prepare to become a husband or a wife? So I think one of the keys to get ready is to, it's almost like, let's say as a man, you gotta clean up your house. Meaning, I talk about this in the book, Truth About Men, that, marriage is not a magic wand. When you say I do, it's not a spell. I will say when you say I do, you absolutely feel differently. It's a move of the spirit. It's a change. It's a transition. The moment that I said I do, I felt differently. However, what I realized is that a lot of the discipline I had when I was dating and, cleaning up my life and, really trying to, get ready for whatever God had next, it really helped me succeed at marriage. And I work at marriage every day. I am not the perfect husband. I work on becoming a better husband. But it's so important while you're single to begin to lay the foundation of discipline, to begin to lay the foundation of sacrifice. When you're single, everything revolves around you. When you're married, it doesn't always. So learning to be deferential, learning to include others in your decision-making process, getting yourself ready to handle different points of view. Because when you're married, everyone just focuses on love. Oh, I just want to fall in love, 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 love. Okay, cool. Love is one thing, but you still got to have conversations. You still got to negotiate to resolutions. So you still have to work through others' opinions. So if you can't handle others' opinions and you're single, how are you going to handle your spouse's opinion in marriage? So that may seem like a very practical thing, because it is. A lot of times we just focus on the feeling of love independent of the process to actually live. And that process of living is really what helps your love grow in marriage. So I would encourage you, if you're single, to really allow a discourse with other people. Can you get your point across without getting mad? Can you have a civil discussion where you may disagree? Those are keys in areas where I would encourage you to start preparing yourself, because they will absolutely lead to a successful marriage. The other thing that I would say is that, a lot of times when I get this question of how do I prepare myself to be a wife or a husband, implied in the question sometimes is a desire to control the timeline. So I'm preparing myself, I'm going to the gym and I'm working on all this. Don't get me wrong. Prepare your outer self, but focus mostly on your inner self. Have you worked through some of the issues you may have had from childhood? What are the areas in your previous relationships that keep reoccurring that you got to think, oh, maybe that's a recurring thing that I need to work on? Do you need to get counseling? Do you need to talk to, a pastor? Do the inner work. Do you need to read the word more? Do you need to read other books that can help you really become who you want to be? Do the inner work as much as you're doing the outer work. However, you got to give the timeline to God. Just because you are preparing doesn't mean that you automatically accelerate his time for love for you, if that makes sense. So I would absolutely encourage you to prepare, but don't prepare in a way where you're like, oh, I'm preparing because this is the year. We don't know. I don't know. I didn't know when love's going to happen to me. As a matter of fact, I didn't even want it. But God said, now's the time. And I'm thankful that I said yes to it. So I think it's so important to prepare inside. Of course, don't look the way you want to look to feel good, but mostly start doing the work inside. Work on your communication, work on your conversation, work on handling opinions from others, work on building constituency. These are some things that I never heard when I was single, but these are the things that secretly make the difference day to day in your marriage. Anyone can go out and buy flowers, candy, kiss good. Anybody can do that, but can you be in a marriage, in a conversation where you both can get your point out and you don't yell, you don't get mad, you don't make the person feel less than? That takes real skill. God bless you. I pray for your success.